Good morning. What I wanted to do today is we're going to talk about resizing, and we'll do a little bit of the more of the detailed cleaning of the cartridges before we do anything else with them. As I mentioned in the video before, when you fire around, the brass expands. It expands and it's being held by the chamber, and it actually shrinks a little bit. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to get it out of the chamber. And we're talking thousandths of an inch. I mean, we're not talking by a lot. So what we got to do is we have to get these cartridges back to their original, or we need to get them back to their original size. And there's a couple of things you need to do that. You have the resizing die, which goes on the resizing press, which I showed you the resizing die yesterday. And it's set to put the cartridge, or put the casing, I guess they're called casings at this point, to put the casing back at least into width and into where the shoulders are. That's the shoulder on this cartridge. And some cartridges are straight cartridges, they don't have shoulders on them. And put it back to the shape that it's supposed to be so that it'll fit back up inside the chamber again. And then, because the cartridge not only expands out, it expands lengthwise, then what you have to do is make sure that the cartridge or the casing is not too long, and there's a way of trimming that off so that we make sure that there's a standard. So everything has to be standard as far as standard size, standard length, width, and all. And for two reasons: number one, so it'll fit inside the gun like it's supposed to, and number two, it's for consistency. If you have some cartridges that are a few thousandths of an inch longer than others, then obviously when they're shot, they're going to come out different and they're going to give you different results. So you want consistency. So it's dark outside and it's freaking cold, but if you will excuse the cinematography that's going to happen, I think at least you get an idea of what happens. And it's very simple. You put your cartridge on top of the stand, and you pull the handle down. The casing goes up inside. You pull it, it comes back down again, and hopefully it's the way it's supposed to be. I talked about it being so tight in there that what happens is if it's not lubed, when it goes inside, the brass is going to stick to the steel, and you ain't getting that sucker out. That's going to be a whole different adventure. And if I'm unlucky enough to get one stuck up inside without enough lube, then I'll show you how that's done, because it's a mess, and because it's in there, you're not going to be able to pull it out very easily, and there's a little mechanism to do that. And I don't really want to do that for a demonstration, but if I have to, I will do it. Now for the lube, I have two different types of lube, because like I said, I'm starting out, and I'm trying different ways of doing things. And the number one way that I have is it's Lee Resizing lubricant. It's a cream, and you put a little bit on your finger, and you rub it on the cartridge or the casing before you put it inside. And it makes it so that the cartridge will come back out again, or the casing will come back out again. I'm just going to call it cartridge because it's just easy for me to do. The other way is I have this stuff here. It's a wax. And what you do is you just take and you put it on your fingers, and then you rub it on the outside, and then you put what I have done is you have the casing here, is you just take and you run your finger over the top like that, so that you have a little bit of lube, so that when you go over that bump, like I said, that resizes the mouth, you want to make sure you have a little something on there. It just makes it easier to do. The one thing you want to not do is use too much of the lube. There's not much space in there, and if you put too much lube in there, it gathers. And when you're putting it in, and the place that it gathers is on the shoulder. And when it gathers on the shoulder, what happens is you get dents. I have two that I did yesterday that have dents in them. I don't know. Let's see if we can see the dent here. I think that's it there. Yeah, that's it. Can you see right there's a dent? This cartridge is no good. Okay, because the shoulder up against the chamber is part of what keeps all the gases on this side and keeps them from going that way. So by putting too much lube on there, I've ruined two of the cartridges, the casings that I could have used, but I can't use them now. So anyway, so let's go outside and we'll take a look and see what's going on out there. And if you'll excuse my messy garage, it's just what it is. So thank you. Okay, the lighting's not the best out here in my garage, but, and it's cold. So what I want to do is I want to try to do this as quickly as I can here, just to give you an idea of what happens. This is the resizing die. Press right here, and this is the resizing die on the top that's already been put on and adjusted. You can see up underneath the thing that sticks out that's going to knock the primer out. And I put a pre-lubricated casing in there, and we're just going to run one. So what you do is you push down on the handle, the casing goes up inside and it comes back out, and when it does, it's got the primer knocked out of it and the hole isn't open, and the casing itself should be the size that it originally was meant to be. So that's we can run another one, and then we'll go inside. I think it's like 18 out, so it's a little bit cool. So we're gonna put another one on its little holder. I'm gonna raise it up and then pull it back out, and there it is. All right, let's go inside where it's warmer. We'll take the die with us. Okay, we got my small sample of cartridges. We got them all resized now. What I've done now is I've taken them and I've wiped off all the lube. You want to make sure that there's no lube left on the cartridges, because they won't fit inside the chamber, and if they do, they're not coming out of the chamber. They're going to get stuck in there. So what you got to do is, after you wipe all the lube off the outside, what I do is I take a Q-tip and I clean the inside and make sure that there's nothing inside. There's a little bit of lube left in there. Then you want to inspect the cartridge or the casing. So what you do is you take and you look at it, and you look at the head of it and make sure that if there's a rim on there, that it looks good, that there's no deformities or cracks or anything like that. You want to make sure that the actual chamber itself is free of any cracks. Sometimes you'll see a crack that'll be going this way, will be going horizontally, and that's a bad thing, because what that means is that your cartridge is going to separate when you shoot, or it could separate. And when it separates, it will, instead of all the gases and stuff going this way, it comes back at you, and that's bad news there. So you check the neck, make sure that there's no cracks on the neck or anything like that. Make sure there's no dents on the shoulder that were there from when you're resizing it, and you and that's probably pretty much it as far as this goes. Except one other thing that I do is, I'm trying to get the camera in here, is I have this tool. Wow, that's close. I have this tool, and what this tool is for cleaning out the cup down here where the primer is going to go. You know, it doesn't have to be squeaky clean in there. It just has to be clean and free of any debris. And sometimes when I've been doing this, you notice that there's a little burr or something inside there, and that could prevent the, uh, the the primer from seating the way that it's supposed to seat. When we get ready to seat the primers, that is, then we'll be able to look at that. But so that's what we do. Now, what I've done is I've looked at at the uh, the cartridges themselves, and like I said, they all seem like they're pretty good. Before I load them, I'll measure them all and make sure that the width and whatever is correct, and then we have to worry about the length. Like I said, the cartridges, so the casings, they stretch. So we have a way of dealing with that, and that's going to be my next section here, and that's going to be on the trimmer. And there's a lot involved in each one of these cartridges that has to be shot out to make sure that it's okay. I mean, if I were to shoot hundreds of rounds a week, I would have things a lot more automated than I do. But since I'm not going to be doing that, I'll keep with the doing it one cartridge at a time, and that's good too, because then I get to become familiar with each one and make sure that they're safe, and that there's nothing that's going to lessen the chances of something happening with it. So, all right, let's go on. We'll talk about our trimmer next. Okay, what I have here is I have my trimmer, and there's different trimmers that you can get. Um, there's different attachments you can get even for this trimmer. You get an attachment for for your drill. You can put it in there so you don't have to use the crank on it. I don't know. I don't see that. Maybe if you did, thousands of rounds or something, and you don't want to be cranking it too much, then that's that's different. But anyway, so this is a very simple concept. What I have is a holder on this side. Put your cartridge in there, or your casing in there. Turn it. It holds it tight. On this side, you have your blades. You can see the blades. And you have a pilot, and the pilot goes inside, and there's different size pilots, you can see, for different cartridges, and to keep it so that it holds it nice and straight, so that you have an even uh, cut on the top of your thing. I never measured this first to see. It doesn't really matter, because the trimmer's not going to trim it any more than it has to. Okay, so this is sitting at 2.062, and then what we're shooting for is the 2.055. So what I've done already is I've already done the adjustments. And that took forever. What I used one of the ones with the bent neck on it, because I'm not going to use it anyway. And I kept putting it in, I had it further out rather than close in, and kept turning it and measuring it to see what it would turn out to be, until it got to the 2.055. I think it's a 2.04, 54 something right now, and that's pretty good. It's got the gross adjustment right here, and then you have your fine adjustment right here, so that when you get it real close, you can do it down to the thousandths of an inch. So we said this is 2.6 whatever, so what we did was put it in there, and then we just crank it. I could see where if you're doing hundreds of rounds, that this crank would get kind of old after a while. So you can crank it as long as you want, but it's not going to go any further than this, because that's stopping it from going. So that way, there you have your proper length. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure it. Okay. We're going to measure it, and it equals 2.045. So there we go. So that's the idea then, is what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these cartridges, and I'm going to put it in with the die. So that way this will be my template. I can just push it in, and I'll be able to tell where it needs to be. So that's that one there. And I'm just going to do them all that way. Oh, I guess when you're done, it's kind of rough up here on the edge. You don't need that to happen. So you have this little tool here, and this little tool fits inside, and you can turn it, and it fits on the outside, and you can turn it, and that way there you end up with a nice smooth edge for when you have your bullet put inside there. So, and this is just my trial and error. I have more cartridges coming on Saturday. I have 50 more. I ordered some gunpowder. I hadn't thought that I did, but apparently I got a message saying that I had to pay. So because I ordered it, and what I did was I ordered a gunpowder that's pretty standard for a lot of rifle cartridges, and so that way there I'll be able to use it across different platforms, and that way there, I won't have to keep buying new gunpowder. But anyway, until we get the gunpowder, that'll be the next stage. Because what we'll do then is we'll break out the loader, um, press, and the loader press has a thing on it for putting the primer in, and it also has that thing for putting your bullet on. And then we'll take it out back and we'll shoot it and see if it goes boom the way it's supposed to. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Bye.